All right, so I'm feeling like the conversation of this walk is going to be when I had an experience. I guess some people call it a spiritual awakening. Look at these rocks. Some people call it a near-death experience. I don't really think it was a near-death experience, but it elicited what some people refer to as a spiritual awakening. Yeah, so I'll share that story with you while we walk through these rocks, take some photos. Let's see. So it was about 2012 when it happened. And now, so it's 10 years ago. So I was in my early 30s. I'm now in my early 40s. And at that time, since I was like late 20s, early 30s, I would pretty much go out on the weekends. Like if it was a weekend, I was going out. I kind of think that's what most people at that age do. And it was a Friday night, and I had come home from work. I had a regular like 9-to-5 job at that time. And I was exhausted. I remember I was totally and utterly exhausted. And so at like 6 o'clock at night, I went to sleep. So Friday night at 6 o'clock, I just went to sleep. I didn't wake up, and I didn't like feel bad. I just felt exhausted, just completely and utterly exhausted. And okay, we're gonna up the ISO because as you can see over here, it's getting a little darker out. So anyways, I was totally and utterly exhausted. So I went to sleep at 5 or 6 o'clock on a Friday night. And I didn't wake up until the middle of the day on a Sunday. So it was like Sunday at like 2 o'clock that I woke up. And I remember like my whole bed was lined in sweat. So I had slept for all of Friday night, the whole entire 24-hour cycle of Saturday, and into Sunday. And then when I woke up, I realized I couldn't lift my knee up to my stomach. Like, see, I couldn't do that. And then I went and took a shower because I was like, I have just woken up from laying in my sweat. One moment, I'm going to take a photo. I took a photo of this rock. It's really pretty. I'll take one more. So then I called my mom and I was like, oh wait, okay, wait, sorry. So I realized that I couldn't lift my leg because my stomach felt so, not just full, but it was literally like every muscle and organ had expanded to a degree that there was no room for me to make any movement with my leg because it was so full. And so I called my mom and I was like, what is going on? Like, I explained to her that I slept for basically 2 days straight without even waking up, that I couldn't bend my knee. Before I called her, I had taken a shower and realized I also couldn't shave my legs, so I couldn't even like bend over to shave my legs. And she was like, oh, well, you need to go to the emergency right now because that's probably your appendix. Thank God for my mom who studied medicine. My grandmother was also a nurse, so thank God I have a family of people that know something about medicine. So I called my friend, and my friend drove me to the hospital right away. We went to the emergency room. I told the emergency room my symptoms, and they sent me straight in. Like, you know how when you go to the emergency room, you usually sit outside for hours and hours and hours, and it's agonizing because you're in pain and you're like sitting in this emergency room? Well, right when I told them my symptoms, they sent me back immediately. The doctors ran all of their tests and did the whole thing where they were like pressing on my stomach to see if I felt pain. They sent me in to do some x-rays and determined that it was in fact my pancreas, and so they sent me in for an emergency removal of, not my pancreas, I'm sorry, my appendix. So they sent me in immediately to have my appendix removed. I didn't want to get my appendix removed. I didn't want to go into surgery. I'm terrified of like going under and needles and surgery and all of that. So I was like, yeah, is there any option other than doing this? And they were like, well, you don't have to. We can't make you, but you could die. We could send you home with some antibiotics, but that's, you know, not likely to work. So there we go. That's a nice photo. Let's see. All right, let's just look at this really quick before I finish the story. Look how gorgeous that is. Look at that. So amazing. All right, so back to my story. So I am getting rolled in to have my surgery done, which, you know, all of this is happening very suddenly. They put the mask thing on my face and I'm out right away. Next thing I know, I wake up in the recovery room and my friend is in the recovery room. She was nice enough to stay all night while I was in emergency surgery, which was amazing. And I remember trying to sit up and I could like barely sit up without pain. And everybody was telling me that like, oh, getting your appendix out is a routine surgery. Don't worry, you'll be back at work the next day. It's not a big deal. Okay, that was not the case for me. That was not the case for me at all. It was so painful when I came out of that surgery. And I remember my friend telling me, she was like, you know, you were in the surgery much longer than they said the surgery was going to last. Like, you were in there almost double, and they said that they ran into some problems in the surgery. And I was still in shock that I had even had to have surgery. And so I didn't ask any questions, you know, I just wanted to like go home and recover, figure it all out later. And so she drove me back to my apartment, and I was living alone in an apartment in like the kind of Miracle Mile area of LA. And she had to fly out to visit her parents. I think it was like a few hours after she dropped me off. And she was like, I'm so sorry, I would totally stay with you, but like I have my plane tickets, I need to go home. And so she went back, she flew home to be with her parent, I think it was her dad. Okay, one second, I'm gonna come back to this. Yeah, that's nice. All right, so my friend flew back to see her dad. And so I was in my apartment by myself, recovering from this surgery, and still kind of in shock, like what the heck happened? She's not there with me anymore, and all I have is this tiny bit of information that, oh yeah, your surgery took twice as long, and they said that they ran into some problems in the surgery. And they sent me home with some painkillers. And because I was living alone and I had just had a surgery, I was like, well, I'm not going to take any of these painkillers, because what if they numb the pain of something that went wrong, and I need to be able to like feel the pain to know that I need to go to the doctor or call somebody, because I had already been a little freaked out that I was alone and slept for 2 days straight with this thing going on with my appendix, and had I not called my mom, you know, God, who knows what would have happened. So I didn't take any painkillers. So I basically like laid in bed just hoping to recover from this while I was on my own. And I think like, look at all these pretty yellow flowers. I think, yeah, my ISO here. I think 3 or 4 days had passed where I was just like laying in bed recovering. And it was so hard for me to sit up because when they did the surgery, they puffed up my stomach with air and went in like with lasers. And so my stomach was so full of air that like I couldn't really, it felt like I was like 9 months pregnant. I haven't been pregnant, but I'm guessing it's what it felt like to be 9 months pregnant. So anyways, by the third or fourth day, I decided I wanted to get up and like move around a little bit, like go for a walk around my block. I thought, I had talked to my mom and it was like, yeah, get your muscles moving. You don't, after surgery, want to just lay there and do nothing because, then your muscles, I don't know, I guess it's just better to get them moving. So I decided to go for a walk around the block. And let's take a little break from the story for a second. Look at this nice little stroll here. These nice rocks, you see. Let's see, I'll go up this way so you can see the rocks. I just love how all of these flowers are coming out now. All right. So I decided to go for a walk around the block, and this was when I had my experience. I'm wondering how well I'm going to be able to tell you about this experience while I'm going for this walk here, but I will try. So it was daylight, and I decided to walk around the block. And this is in like the Miracle Mile area of Los Angeles. So it's basically like kind of like Hollywood. In other words, there's a lot of like congestion. Like, in other words, you're not like out in nature. Like you're in like a sprawling city, basically, with a lot of like light pollution at night. All right, so I was going for a walk around my neighborhood. And all of a sudden, from my memory, it went from being relatively light out, kind of like it is now. And then when this particular thing happened, it went from light like it is now to by the time this thing was done, it was night. So going for a walk around the block. And then all of a sudden, I stop in front of this house. Here, I'll come over to this and show you. Well, I'll show you in a second. Do you see the rocks? All right, so I stop at this tree. I'm like going for a walk like I normally would. My whole entire intention is just to get some exercise and get my muscles moving because I'd had this surgery. And I remember specifically stopping at this tree and holding on to a leaf of this tree. And this tree was like an Edward Scissorhands style tree. It was like one of those trees that had been so heavily groomed that it was like a perfect oval shape. So nothing about it was feeling like nature. But I still stopped and like held on to one of the leaves and was just looking at the leaf. And as this happened, I looked up and the house in front of me all looked like moving energy. And I look over at the house on the other side of me, across the street, and it all looked like moving energy. Like I could see the edges of the house and understood like, okay, this is a house and here's the framework of the house. But I could clearly see that it was all energy collected together to create the framework of that house. And this happened in 2012, long before people were talking openly on social media about spirituality and all of that stuff. So I was like, what is happening right now? And I just remember looking around and seeing that the house was all energy, but I could tell that each bit of energy was completely conscious in its own right, and that each bit of energy was making the choice to collect with the other forms of energy in order to make that house. And I'm going to take a photo of this. I remember, like, you know how Oprah talks about having an aha moment? Like, you have an awareness of something that is so deeply felt within yourself that you're like, aha, like, I now get it. I now understand. Well, I had that moment where it was like, I had this deep, like in my cellular level understanding that everything is energy, not just me physically, but the house is energy, the street is energy, the tree is energy, and the deep underlying meaning of all of that was something I don't hear people in spirituality talk about. And it was that we are choosing to be in the physical form that we're in, and we can choose to move out of it anytime we want. So all of the energy that was within that house was the choice of each piece of energy that was collecting together to create that home, was a conscious choice. And me, which is a whole bunch of energy, is a conscious choice to be in this physical body. And what I understood from that was that if at any moment I choose to not be in this physical body anymore, I can consciously make that choice and move into another physical form. That was what I understood, and it felt like it was clear as day when I understood it. There was no it was strange. It was one of those aha moments where it was just a deep understanding of, okay, everything is energy. I am energy. I am a whole bunch of energy that has come together collectively to create me. Same as these rocks, same as these trees, it's just all energy. And it has all collected together and made the conscious choice to stay in that structure on its own. And at any moment, it could choose to move into a different form or to a different structure. So, make of that what you will. I don't know if that's accurate or I don't know. That was just the experience that I had. And right after I had this awareness and understanding, okay, here's where it gets a little like, really? But I swear it happened. I was still holding onto the leaf on that tree as this whole thing is transpiring. And then I look up at the sky, and right when I look up at the sky, a shooting star goes across the sky, and this is in the middle of basically Los Angeles, like the Miracle Mile area. Funny that it's called Miracle Mile. And like we have so much light pollution in the city parts of LA that like you don't see shooting stars. So when that happened, I was just like, it felt like confirmation, like, yeah, you got it. Like that aha moment you're having is correct. The sun is starting to go down, but I like it. I like that we're nearing magic hour out here. I think it's gonna be beautiful. Beautiful. All the rock formations. Let's see what we get to on the other side of this hill. So here's what's interesting about all of that. After I had that awareness, I went back home and laid down and was just kind of like, it was one of those where I had never had like an aha moment like that, or any type of like spiritual like experience or understanding at that point in my life. I was in my early 30s. Again, people were not talking about spirituality on social media, so this was a completely foreign concept for me when all of this happened. So I went home and just kind of laid down and was just basically like, what the hell was that? I was just processing it. And I remember telling one of my friends, not the friend that took me to the emergency room, telling one of my friends at the time what happened. And she was like, well, maybe since you were in surgery and some things went wrong in surgery, maybe your body just released a chemical that's like similar to DMT or something, and like, so you just had that experience. And the thing is, like, I think for anyone who's had one of these experiences, you know when you have it that it's not like a chemical thing. It's kind of like how you know the difference between a dream and your awake state. It's like that type of thing. You're like if you're drunk or high, that's like dreaming, versus if you're sober, you're awake. So like this experience, it was like I was fully awake. You know, it didn't feel like a chemical alteration in my body at all. All right, I'm gonna come back in a second. All right, I just want to show you guys all of this. I hope there's some birds flying. Ooh, look at that. Oh, there she goes. So beautiful. Look at that rock. How cool is that? You can get me a photo of that. All right. I'm getting good at doing one-handed photography so that you guys can see the whole thing happening. I normally shoot with two hands, but you know, gotta share the experience. So, all right, so that was the experience. What happened next is interesting. After I had that experience, all of my friends and my dating situation, my work situation, all fell away. The friends that I had had for my entire adult life started to kind of fall to the wayside. And I didn't think I was necessarily like being any different than I always had been, but I think that once you start to have an experience like that and you start to see the world differently, you change frequencies, you kind of move up into a different frequency, and therefore everyone that was on the previous frequency falls out of your life. And so that was what had happened, and it was the first time that I had ever had anything like that happen, and I didn't understand what was happening. I was like, you know, this guy that I had been on and off with for like 4.5 years, you know, we had had kind of a push and pull type of situation where, you know, I'd be super into him and then he wouldn't be reciprocating that much, so I'd be like, okay, I get the picture, and I'd pull away, and then as soon as I'd pull away, he'd come back around because he'd sense I was pulling away. That whole deal. Very unhealthy. But that 4.5 year situation just done. Friendships that I had had for a decade fell away. Job that I had had for a decade ended. And all of a sudden I was like, with this new knowledge and new bit of information about how the world worked, and my slate was clean. It was like, it's interesting. I think that is what happens. I do think that as you go through what they call kind of a spiritual awakening, I think that your old life kind of falls out of, falls by the wayside. It kind of just, you know, you move into a new kind of paradigm in your life. But if it's never happened to you before, which it had never happened to me before, I didn't understand what was happening. I was like, why am I losing all my friends? Why is this guy that I was on and off with for 4.5, 5 years all of a sudden like just when, you know, like just not into me at all? I mean, he was kind of not that into me in general. Like he was into me enough to keep me around, but that was about it. But still, I was like, even that amount was gone. Yeah, it was interesting. It was really, really interesting. And then of course, because you're moving into a whole new frequency, that you then end up, you know, making new friends and kind of building a whole new life for yourself. But at the time when that happened, it was sad. It was really sad. It was confusing. Yeah, it was a shift. So that's my story. That is my spiritual awakening story. I don't know if it's necessarily a spiritual awakening, but it definitely was a time in my life where I had a major shift. It was after a sudden surgery that I wasn't expecting, and I had a new awareness I wasn't expecting to have, and my whole life changed in that instance. And I kind of never really saw things the same after that. So that's my story. Let's keep the hike going. Now we're heading up a hill. We'll see what's on the other side of this hill. I mean, I know what's on the other side of this hill, but you will see what's on the other side of this hill. I've done this hike before. Let's see. So yeah. I feel like any time in life that we move up a level, whether that be with education or career or relationship or spirituality or religion, anytime we go up a notch, the people in our life that are staying in the same place and are not moving up a notch with us, they fall by the wayside. And they may move up a notch as well, just not in the same time frame as you. And so during that time frame, you know, you're building a new life, they're building a new life, and your lives either end up on the same frequency again at a later date, or you just are on a different frequency for the, you know, the rest of time. So how beautiful is this? Do you see that? Sun's starting to set. Oh, beautiful. All right. I think we're going to go down the hill for a little bit. And then I'm going to turn around since the sun is setting. All right, so I don't know how well I told that story, but I'm sure if you've ever had one of those, like, whoa, that was weird and interesting experiences, I'm sure you understand. And it is interesting. You know, since then, I've had some more aha moments, and it is one of those where every time I find myself leveling up with a little bit more information and insight into how the world works, I do find that each time I kind of go to that next level, the things that were in my life at the previous level fall away. So I've kind of just learned at this point, like, all right, I feel like I'm leveling up, so there's going to be some collateral. I hate to say it that way, but that does seem to be the way it happens. And You know, I don't even see it as like a bad thing anymore, because now I just see it like, okay, well, you know, if I'm leveling up and the people in my life aren't also leveling up at the same time, then they've got their own journey to go on. And, you know, when they get there, maybe we'll be on the same frequency and same plane at a later date. We're just not at this moment and at this time. So, yeah, the world is so weird, isn't it? It's like, I mean, at the end of the day, this whole conversation comes down to one thing, and that is all the science in the world, all the religious teachers in the world, and none of us really know what the hell's going on. We've got a lot of guesses, we've got a lot of aha moments, we've got a lot of speculations, and in religions, we've got a lot of faith. But if we can all be honest with ourselves and we can all tell each other the truth, we don't know. We really don't know. I mean, what a wild and crazy experience, right? To be like, look at this beautiful nature. Beautiful, beautiful nature. I don't know how it got here. I don't know how I got here. Neither do you. And anybody who does think that they know for sure is lying to themselves for some comfort and security. Because we don't know. And I think that's when you like really have your enlightenment, is when you can accept that. When you can be like, all right, I really don't know. I have a lot of guesses, and I've had some experiences that have led me to some good guesses, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to find out until this journey ends. And that brings up another question. Does the journey end? I don't know that either. I really don't. I do think that everything is energy. I think what I experienced was like a lifting of the veil. I think that everything is energy, and that when we die, we simply move from this form into the collective consciousness. And maybe at that point we move into another form. I think that's what it is, but I don't know. I really don't know. Oh, look at that. Look at those birds. I think a lot when I'm out in nature about how, you know, us humans, we think we're so smart. We think we're the most intelligent species on the planet. But those birds, they're not paying taxes, paying rent, paying a mortgage. They're not, you know, sitting in traffic to go to work. They're just flying around, getting some worms when they're hungry. Like, you know, building themselves a nest in a tree. I don't think we're the smart ones. I think it might be the opposite. Let's see. We'll go for this walk here. Sorry if you hear me sniffle every now and then. Whenever I hike and like go up and down steep hills and like really get my adrenaline going, it makes me sniffle. And I don't know why, and I know it's really annoying in videos. But I don't know, maybe I should ask a doctor about that. It's always happened. I just always sniffle when I hike. So I try really hard not to in these videos because I don't want to like ruin the vibe, but I get sniffly when I hike. Let me get a photo of this. Oh, beautiful. Nature, nature. Like, oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Ah, nature wins. then, you know, with everything I just said, with my experience that I had, and, you know, talking about how none of us really knows what's going on, I did grow up in a very faith-based family, so, you know, my mom would tell me otherwise and to have faith, which I consider that one possibility of what's going on. And I do think that the larger overall consciousness could be called God, if that's what lies on the other side. I also think it's possible that the whole thing is a simulation, which, you know, other civilizations have referred to as Maya. I think that's possible. I mean, what of all this that we're looking at? It's not even real. That's a trip. Oh, what an interesting life. Oh man, look at these rocks. Oh, beautiful. Oh, look. Look at that. That's a photo right there. In other words, I should take a photo of that right there. It's so beautiful. Oh my gosh. So yeah. So these little walk and talks that I'm doing are part of my journey of visiting my favorite places and doing one per week. Not necessarily a walk and talk one per week, but then I want to visit one of my favorite places around LA one per week so that I can, you know, be best informed on my next steps in my life. I'm like really feeling like I'm at a new chapter phase, and so I'm revisiting LA and seeing it from a new lens and deciding like what that next chapter is going to look like. And part of this journey of these walk and talks is to, you know, share this joy with other people and share the photos I'm taking and share the videos I'm taking. And, you know, a lot of that is because none of us really do know what's going on. So we might as well share with each other what we think and share the beauty that we're experiencing and, you know, enjoy it all the best we can. It's like such a wild experience that we all get to go through together. This planet Earth. I mean, it's truly wild. All right, we're nearing the end of this hike. We've got this hill to go over here. See how beautiful this is. I don't know if I said it yet or not. I think I did, but this is Vasquez Rocks that we're at. So you can see the freeway over there. It's literally just 30 minutes outside of LA. We're 30 minutes from where I live. LA's kind of sprawling, so, you know, 2 hours if you live in Santa Monica, but 30 minutes from where I live. And look how stunning this is. And look, there's nobody around. This is one of my favorite hikes around here because I can literally like pop over here on an afternoon. There's like almost never anybody here. And I can just really feel like I'm, you know, in solitude where I can think. It's definitely one of my favorites. If I were to move, I'd miss this one. This is a good spot. Feels like it has like really good energy to it too. But I do wonder if all these rock formations are from like major earthquakes or something. It's kind of what it looks like. Or these rock formations were carved out because they were previously underwater. That could be another possibility. Or it's all simulation, like we discussed. See what I mean? Who knows? Who knows? All right. All right, we're gonna pause for a minute while I get up this hill so you don't have to hear me, you know, breathing heavy getting up to the top of the hill. We'll rejoin in a moment. All right, so we're done with the top of the hill now. Now we're heading down. Oh, you can see the sun setting behind me. Yeah. Look at this, you can see all the rocks behind me over here. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So, I've decided that since none of us really know what's going on, we can all guess. We can have faith. We can make our best educated guesses. There's those of us that have had experiences like the experience I described, that if that is like the veil being lifted for a moment and I'm getting a little bit of insight, you know, that's a possibility. But at the end of the day, none of us truly know for sure. So let's say it is all Maya. Let's say it is all an illusion. I think the best plan of action is to really enjoy life and to not get caught up in the negativity, to not get caught up in everything that, you know, is happening in the world that's negative. Like, can you imagine if you spent this whole entire lifetime stressed out and upset about everything that you hear on the news, and then at the end of the day, somebody flips a switch on the simulation and they're like, so was that fun? You'd be like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If I knew that that was like a video game, a simulation, oh, that was a bird, I would have had so much more fun. I would have been traveling. I would have been going to cool locations, right? I would have been learning new things and trying new foods, and yeah. So like, that's my 2022 agenda, is to really just enjoy life and hope that everyone else does too. That's it. That's all we can do, right? Oh my gosh, it is so beautiful. Okay, hang on, I'm gonna turn this around so you can see this. Like unreal. Well, as we're talking about unreal. Yeah, it is really, see, and I've been here a number of times and I still say this. Even though I've been here a number of times. I just love this spot. All right, turning you around so you can see it. Do you see it? Oh my gosh. Magic hour. I wish it was open for like another hour so I could take more magic hour photos, because this really is when the magic happens. All right, let me get a photo of this spot over here, because this is too good to pass up. All right, let's see if we've got a good exposure for this right now. Let's see, here, I'll let you see me taking the photo. It can be kind of challenging to manage both. All right. Let's see how those looked. Let's see if you can kind of see on the back of the camera. Looks decent, right? I want more of the pink in the sky though. I might need to go a little darker. Let's go a little darker. Let's get over here. Let's see. So I think if I go down on the ISO. All right. That's good. Yeah. Now we're getting there. Let's see. Let you see the action happening. Not that it's that exciting, but oh, gotta remember to get a vertical shot. Let's really is challenging to do this all with one hand, but I'll do this so I can bring you along. You being whoever's watching this. Right now I have like 14 subscribers, so all 14 of you that watch this video, I gotta say, oh, there's a plane. I gotta say, there's something freeing, I'll say that again, about having very few subscribers. I can kind of feel pretty comfortable doing these walk and talks knowing that the only people watching these videos are my family and friends. I mean, it's true, and it's kind of nice. It's like, I mean, of course, I would love for, you know, my videos in the future to get out there so that I can share my thoughts and stuff, but, you know, I'm new to this whole thing, so it's nice to, new to this whole YouTube thing, so it's nice to know it's just my family and friends. Hearing me talk about if this is all a simulation, because who knows? Oh my gosh, this is so good over here. Look at this. I mean, is that a shot right there or what? Wow. I best be getting back to the car. I think I have like 15 minutes before they shut the gate. I definitely don't want to be stuck here at night all by myself in the car. Oh my gosh, but it's hard when like, it's literally like when they want to close is when it's the best lighting. That's the way life is, right? Which is what makes it possibly a whole simulation, because it feels like you're constantly being messed with like that. All right. That's a cool rock. Give you a little view on the way down. Getting kind of a steep path on the way down. I've met a lot of people here in LA that when I tell them this is one of my favorite spots, they've never heard of it. They're like, Vasquez Rocks? What? And I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like one of the best spots. Literally one of the best spots just outside of LA. But maybe that's why it's never crowded. People just like don't know about it yet. I don't know how. It's like, look how cool this is. And it's like a 30-minute drive. Like, how is that possible? Let me make this. Sorry, I'm giving you a terrible view while I'm adjusting my camera. All right. Okay. Definitely gotta hurry. Don't want to get stuck here. Okay. All right. Final shot before heading out. Look at that. See, there's that car. The car's like, I'm getting out of here before they lock me in. That's what's happening. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera because I'm taking my hair out of my ponytail because it was getting tight in my ponytail. Yeah, everybody's heading out. This is Vasquez Rocks.